Fellow senators and still friends all, I stand now to speak about the victims, the survivors, the people who don't have a voice on this floor today. And I have to disagree partially with Senator Conrad because actions do have consequences. And yes, you do have the right to free speech, but just like we don't yell fire in a movie theater, we don't wantonly use words that refer to rape and insert a senator's name and expect there to be no consequences. People always say that words count. And by the way, it would be great if we had more senators that were turning around listening to people instead of looking down. This is a great time to engage with other senators. I believe that not only do words count, but it's what we don't say that really counts. And like it or not, friends, what happened yesterday trivialized sexual assault. I don't believe that was his intent, but that was the consequences of his actions. What was done yesterday, again, whether it was the purpose or not, marginalized not only Senator Kavanaugh, but every victim, every survivor. It makes it harder for them now to come forward when they have issues like this. And you've heard this on the floor. There are women here who have been violated, violently violated, who continue to move forward, continue to deal with those issues, some better than others. But until you have experienced that violence, until you have experienced that loss of power, that victimization, I really feel like your compassion should maybe be a little better, should be maybe more compassionate when it comes to these senators and the words that we use on this floor. Yesterday, what was said literally reinforced what abusers have always said, that it's the victim's fault. And again, not the intent, but the consequence of the words. And so I speak out on behalf of the victims, on behalf of the survivors, many that I'm sure have contacted you, people who are calling me in the middle of the night crying about their loved ones who watched it and were in despair. That should not happen when you watch a legislative session. But that was the consequence of those actions. We have to hold others accountable for their actions, and we have to insist that there be respect in this space when it comes to issues like this. When we look at the bills this year, we've talked about obscenity and trafficking, sexual assault, pedophiles, child abuse. But yesterday showed that there are certain members of the body that are only concerned about the parts that they are particularly offended by. And I think that that's been the issue with many of the debates that we've had. We have got to be aware of the words that we use, especially when it comes to things that pertain to something so personal as sexual assault, as rape. What happened yesterday wasn't about the book that they want to ban. Because if it was, a Kavanaugh name would not have been inserted into that. It was about stirring things up, being disrespectful.
1 minute.
And like it or not, it was about re-victimizing a victim. And that's not going to go away. And I do hope, regardless of what the purpose was, that there is some guilt today that Senator Halloran is feeling, because his actions created a world of hurt for hundreds, if not thousands, of Nebraska women, and I'm guessing men as well. But I've only heard from the women because men tend not to share their stories because they feel embarrassed about it because guys aren't supposed to be raped. Actions have consequences, and the consequences are that we hurt a lot of good people with that few minutes of speech, regardless of whether it is free speech or not, Senator Conrad, and that we cannot do that on the floor of the Nebraska Legislature.